these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NotBland show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland, and of course, we're powered by sportsjourney.com. We have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the Vegas Nationals that was just done, the fifth race of the 6 playoff races. Boy, man, great action. Some guys and gals pulled their way even closer, and we're going to have a heck of a finish in Pomona. We're going to talk some pro wrestling today. We're going to talk about Crown Jewel. We're going to talk about the state of wrestling and some people who are emerging and whether they should be holding more prominent titles. Also, we're going to talk about the Commanders, as we always do, because we cover the Commanders here, and we're going to do that at the end of the show. And we're going to have a Super Fan Rio Robinson, and I'm super excited to have him on board and talk and give us the fan perspective on how, they think the Commanders are doing. If you are looking to watch on Facebook from my page, we're having a bit of an issue. So it is not there. It may be there. I am not seeing it. So I cannot pin it. So if you would go to the NotBland Facebook page, NotBland Show Facebook page, or the YouTube channel at the NotBland Show. Yep, at the NotBland Show. Well, as I stated, Vegas Nationals was something special. And before we get into that, I have a little bit of a bone to pick. So for the second straight week, we have had fines levied and disqualifications happen. In Dallas, Clay Millican was fined $5,000 and he was disqualified from the race because of having lead shot, which is a ballast to duct tape to the front of his car. They were having some issues with that thing picking the wheels up, and it fell off the second time, or I believe it was the second time, maybe the third time that it lifted up, fell off there. He was fined for that and disqualified. This weekend, I believe it's a little ticky-tack, but whatever. You're talking about headers. You're talking about, a lot of heat coming off, a lot of fire coming out of those headers. And the big run that Robert Height had, he was disqualified because of the headers, because of the heat, and over time they sag a little bit, and they were apparently out of spec. Doesn't mean that they were laid back or anything. They were just out of spec. He passed the initial inspection after that run, but they came back, inspected, and disqualified him. So my question is this: should the NHRA be more transparent with penalties and fines? Absolutely they should. Because the bottom line is this: if you are one of the big boys and you tout yourself for having 27.1 million fans, you're the biggest sanctioning body, then you should be transparent about what's going on the racetrack. Because you know what it does when you're transparent? It stops people from speculating. And it stops people who have shows like mine, which I don't care what the fans say, but some of you do. Some of you media do. And you go on and you bash the fans for rumor mills. Well, you can cut all the rumors out. by being transparent and letting people know and letting these fans of these racers know what's going on with their driver and why they were disqualified or why they were fined. And the media can be more transparent with the fan base as well. In NASCAR, they have no problem. In any form of other motorsports, they have no problem with letting folks know. And I will say this, those who thought that fine for, the lead shot was a little bit extensive and overkill. Well, in NASCAR, they not only fine you and disqualify you, but they also suspend your crew chief, and the person who actually did the infraction is also suspended. So in comparison, it's pretty light. But yes, the NHRA needs to be more transparent, and we've been talking about this, I don't know, ad nauseum. But something has to be done, because I know, and others, we as a matter of fact, prime example, right at the top end, you have Tasca talking about folks and rumors and saying that they were cheating. Well, you can fix all that nonsense by being transparent. Isn't it that it's that easy? And again, you tout yourself on being the biggest sanctioning body, and you have 27.1 million fans. Those fans want to know about their racers and why they've lost points, why they were fined, why they were disqualified and not able to race. They want to know that. Not through some, and if you continue to do this, the rumor mills will continue. And if you don't want to do that and the rumor mills continue, then don't complain. I don't want to hear from no media complaining about rumor mills, because it can all stop by just being transparent with us, the media, and especially, more importantly, the fans. Now, let's get to the task at hand. The Vegas Nationals was spectacular. Now, your top five now, Top Fuel, Steve Torrence at number one, Doug Coletta, 15 points behind him. Leah Pruitt, 34 points out of first. And third, Mike Salinas, your winner, 76 points. And Justin Ashley kind of put himself back in it with 82 points back. He kind of put himself back in this thing. It was very important for him to go as far as he did. It would have been nice if he would have won, but I think he gives himself a shot there. Now, this is your winners. You see Robert Height, Mike Salinas, of course, Erica Enders, and of course, Gage Herrera. Not surprised, right? Not surprised at all. Those two, we're not going to talk about Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle. I'm telling you right now, championships are already wrapped up. Erica's getting her sixth, and Gage is getting his first. Simple as that. It's just wild. But we've got some real good stuff going on in Top Fuel. And I will start with Leah Pruitt. It is very unfortunate. You know, out of all of these top five racers, up to Vegas, she was 11-4 round win-loss record. The best out of them all. Doug Coletta is next at 10-2 round win-loss record. Explains why they're at 2 and 3, right? Well, also explains why she's in 3 is because she went out first round. Add insult to injury, she was 087 on the tree. Josh Hart was 044 on the tree, and she throws away a 3.699 second run at 332 miles per hour. I know she had to be sick at the top end. Josh Hart ran a 374.0. Awful. You had to feel awful, right? But this is what I want from Leah. Do like the great quarterbacks do. Don't worry about it. You can't go into this thing thinking, oh, I can't be late. I can't be late. Because you know what's going to happen? You're going to be late. And according to the numbers, outside of them going out first round in Vegas, they have the best car coming into this thing. next best car, who also has been going out in first round and 1-1 in Vegas, is Doug Coletta. Those are the two surging cars, I should say. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what all pans out here. Going down the list, Mike Salinas, 4-4. Yet he still finds himself in this thing because he won Vegas, going 4-0, obviously, to get the win. Justin Ashley, going a distance that he did, he got to the semis. He is actually one of the worst. Dude was 2-4 through the first 5 races, or first 4 races, and now went 3-1. Helped him out a little bit. Again, he's got to have all of those bonus points. He's going to have to go in, and if you want to do this thing, you're going to have to outrun and beat everybody else that's in front of you. It's going to be difficult because you don't know what side of the ladder these people are going to be on, all of that, but go in, get the little points. It's 1.5 points. You got to do it. If he can do it, he might have a long shot. I believe he can. But, yeah, that right there under Justin Ashley, if you guys have looked at the points, that's my nah, bruh line. Everybody under that, nah, bruh, you don't have a chance. Sorry. With all of this now, I do believe your favorite is still Steve Torrence. And you're like, oh, but you said the 2 best cars were Doug Coletta and Leah Pruitt. Steve was 8-3 in his round win-loss record in those first 4 races. Yet he's still number 1. He continues to get the little points. He's just quietly chipping away. And yet, outside of Leah jumping, he seems to find his way back up there to the top. So the best way this is going to have to happen is he's got to go out early. And Leah, Doug, Mike, Justin all have to get those small points. 4 qualifying sessions, all have to get those small points in qualifying. So that's going to be important. Very important. But I do think Steve-O is the guy. And everything Nitro believes the same thing. Very dangerous hitting into Pomona. I believe so. And I think he's got the right attitude as well. It's going to be a fun ride this in 2 weeks in Pomona. And I'm hoping for a cool Pomona. Because, a lot of us like big speeds and big ETs. That's what I want to see. Robert, when we talk about funny car, this was huge this weekend. You look at his round win-loss record coming in this thing, he's 8-3 coming in to Vegas, and he did what he had to do. Close that gap down, 17 points out, doing a heck of a job this weekend. They were just on a rail. Him and Bob Tasca just throwing punches like a heavyweight fight. Bob Tasca, 9-3 coming into this thing in Vegas. You look at the points leader, though. Matt Hagan, 11-2 before Vegas. Went out in the semis. Not bad. But I think in this one, you look at the top 5, Ron Capps is there. He's 139 points out. Look, Ron Capps needs to get all the bonus points, and then he needs to hope the top 3 have explosive diarrhea and cannot drive. That's the only way he's going to be winning that thing. He's going to have to get all the points and explosive diarrhea for Height, Tasca, and Hagan. So the Nabra line, it's at 3, right there at Height. And him and John Force don't stand a chance. It's unfortunate, though. It's unfortunate. But at the same time, you got to get it done early. And unfortunately, Ron Capps was 5-4 coming into this thing, and he goes out first round in Vegas. Not very good. And in both of those 4 losses, there's 2 where he went out in the first round as well. Not good. Not good at all. So this thing here is going to come down to 3 drivers. And right now, when you look at it, if you take away all the round win-loss records, Height's got a lot of momentum, and they love Pomona. But I wouldn't count out. I would not count out Matt Hagan. I think he's still dangerous. But I think the guy who is to watch is Height. It's all on his shoulders, really, because Bob Tasca, I think he's shown that he's capable of doing this thing. He's very well capable of coming in and taking this thing over. He's done it. He's been here. He's been fighting. He's been running big speeds. They're trying to get all those small points, and that's exactly what matters, the small points. And they've been doing just that. So I'm really looking forward to Top Fuel and Funny Car and these fights here. And yeah, tune in, ladies and gentlemen. It's the In-N-Out Burger Finals, World Finals. And it's going to be on Sunday, November 12th, 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. And guess what? Guess what surprise we got today in the SEMA show? Thank you, Fox, for doing that on YouTube. But guess who we got coming in to Pomona? That's right. It's your boy, Dale Worsham. He's going to be driving at Pomona. That Toyota Supra looks pretty good, and I'm super excited. One of my favorite drivers of all time. I hope we see him next year. I don't know if this is just a one-off, but Dale Worsham can throw down with the best of them. It's going to be super cool to see him out there, and man, I can't wait now. Another guy who could be a spoiler. I mean, as if they need more, right? It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And you guys should be too, man. This is going to be one heck of a world finals that we're going to see here in Pomona. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the NHRA talk. Again, make sure you catch that. Mark your calendars. It's going to be something special to watch coming in to this last race of the season. Well, now we're going to get into our wrestling talk, pro wrestling talk. And I got to do this.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
I bring in
The champ is here.
the man who does everything for
The champ is
wrestling.
here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
It's my guy, the
The
champ,
champ is here.
one half of the No Spots podcast. Woo! Let's go. What's up, baby?
Hold on, I gotta do this. Finally, the champ has come back to the NotBland show.
Yes, sir.
I had to do it. What's
Man,
going on,
let's
DJ?
go.
How you doing tonight?
I'm having a blast. You know, I got a chance to do my NHRA stuff. This is the first time I've done it on my own for a while, like I was doing it on Ghostcast. You know, still a little rusty. I felt a little rusty, but man, having a blast, and I'm having a blast watching wrestling and the state of wrestling. And I'll start with WWE.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. I mean, here's my thing, and I thought about this because you already know what's going on, but for your viewers and listeners, like my father's currently in the hospital, and I actually went to go visit him today, and I was thinking about this on the way up to the hospital, and that people don't understand, if you're not a wrestling fan at this current present time, you're missing out. This has been the best era of wrestling since the Attitude Era. I mean, because of the options that are available. You have the big two of WWE and AEW. You have other options like Impact, MLW, New Japan, things like that. You have indie promotions like GCW, Game Changer. You also have other local indies. Like right now, the shirt that I'm wearing for your viewers that are watching, this is a local indie that's based here in the DMV, Fight Club Pro Wrestling. They actually were one of the first indies feds that really put a current superstar who's been killing it in ROH and in New Japan, Trisha Dora. She's been currently killing it. She actually was their first Pan-African World Diaspora Wrestling Champion. She just lost the championship a couple weeks ago after holding it for over 3 years. She held that championship for over 3 years. She won it just before the pandemic hit in February of 2020, and she just lost it a couple weeks ago after a very, very long reign. But wrestling right now is in its best place right now. It really is.
It really is. I'm very impressed with what's going on. This is what we needed a long time ago. You gotta have competition, and I understand, what Vince did, that's nice, but it got stale when it was just them. They weren't being pushed. And right now, the state of wrestling is just, it is a pleasure. It's so much of it. I can't even catch it all. But it is a pleasure. And the WWE is coming in to its crown jewel. And most of the time, it appears to be just, something they like to do. Usually, there's not too many title changes. In this particular crown jewel, there's a lot of pretty decent and nice matchups. Do you see any title changes happening in crown jewel?
Let's see. There are 4 championships on the line. The top 2 men's championships and the top 2 women's championships. If I were to foresee a title change, it would most likely be the WWE Women's Championship. Now that Bianca Belair is back, I think they might put the strap back on her. Not to say that Io Sky has not had a good title run. She's had a pretty good title run, but I think that it's gotten to the point. Bianca is a very popular superstar, and I think that she'll be the one to end it at Crown Jewel, but I think that'll be the only title change that'll happen. I don't foresee Drew winning the World Heavyweight title because there's still the rumors that he still hasn't re-signed with WWE, and I don't think they're going to put the title on him unless he's re-signed already. There's no LA Knight, as popular as he is, there's no way that they're going to take a chance and have him be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns' 3.5-year reign as champion and stuff like that. And then Rhea Ripley's got 4 women in there, but out of those 4 women, I don't see none of them dethroning Rhea Ripley as the champion. She's been doing a phenomenal job as the women's world champion, and I think that that's going to continue. But I think Bianca will be the only person that has a title change this coming weekend when she beats Io Sky.
Yeah, I had that feeling too after watching her promo, and I was like, her coming back, and I was like, this might not be good for Io. This might not be good for her. And you're right. She is one heck of a champion. And even without the championship, she's still a pulverizing force within the women's division.
Yes, absolutely she is.
Now, you brought up LA Knight, and I appreciate that because LA Knight is my new Rock. He is really starting to come into his own. They're really starting to let him do his thing. I, like you said, don't see him beating Roman. That's not going to happen. That reign will continue. The tribal chief will continue on. But I do believe LA Knight should possess a title. Which title should LA Knight possess?
I think the U.S. because he's on SmackDown, and I mean it would be advantageous for Triple H and company to switch him over to Raw and have him go after Walter, aka formerly Walter, now Gunther, and the IC title, as he's already set the newest record for the longest reign with that championship. I think it would be advantageous to have him go from trying to challenge a 3+ year reign as world champion to someone who's held the Intercontinental champion for almost 2 years. And say, he can beat him. I think it would be much more doable and feasible for him to go after the U.S. title. I know that Rey Mysterio currently holds that championship, but there's a possibility that he could lose that. I forgot. That's right. Rey is defending that championship against Logan Paul, and he's not going to lose the championship to Logan Paul. I completely forgot about that match, but yeah, he's not losing Logan Paul. But Logan Paul's going to put on a good match. Let's not get that twisted. Logan Paul's going to put on a really good match. We may hate his antics and his attitude and stuff, but that man really has put in the work when it comes to being a wrestler. Even though he only comes in here and there, he puts in the work and he goes out and he has really good matches. So him and Rey are going to work really good, but Rey's going to retain. But LA Knight, I think, should possess the U.S. title.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's, that would be a good baseline. I think he has the personality, the charisma. He's definitely over. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to see him possess that as well. And, big, I don't care, love him or hate him. The one thing you got to do is respect him, because Paul comes in and he's not making a mockery of the sport. He's learned and he takes risks. He puts on a show. And it's clear that he's clearly not just come in and been a name, but he's actually worked on his craft and kind of transformed himself into a wrestler. So
I will say this: I love the fact that WWE didn't try to continue to push him as a babyface, because it just didn't fit him and his personality. It just didn't fit, and that's the one thing people got to understand when it comes to professional wrestling. And even Seth Rollins said this in an interview: is like a lot of these like alignments of babyface and heel. It's all relative, but it's all basically when having one of these alignments is largely based on your personality and how you really are. Like when I did backyard wrestling, I was much better as a heel than as a babyface, even though I preferred to be a babyface, but I do have those tendencies to be an asshole. So so it seems like being a heel was more natural to me than being a babyface. And in wrestling, it's much easier to get people to hate you than to get them to love you. Right. So that's why I think that when they finally had Logan Paul be a heel, it just was a perfect fit, because more people hate this man than they love him, and it works out perfectly.
Right. Gunther, how long is he going to hold this title? I mean, he has been what Miz has been to this title. I would dare say he's elevated it to a different level, but it's a little different because he's a menacing guy, and he's just not a big guy. He does really good work in the ring. And as that heel, he's really taken that title to a different level. How long do you think he's going to hold that, though?
First of all, I want to state to your viewers and your listeners, like, if you really want to see the essence of Gunther, me and Sif call him Walter. We don't call him by this name. We still call him Walter, which is what he came in with, right? And that's what we know him as. But if you really want to understand the essence of the fighting, of the toughness and the physicality of Walter, go on the Peacock and look up past NXT UK episodes, particularly his NXT Championship match against Ilya Dragunov during the pandemic. I'm gonna tell you something. That was both myself and Sif's top 10 match of the year. And they got that physical and that tough with each other in front of nobody. They fought like they were in Wembley Stadium, the way they beat the crap out of each other, and there was no one in there. Like, it was an empty BT Studios, and they beat the crap out. You can hear every chop, you can hear every forearm, you can hear every blow that they had, because there was no one in there except the commentary team, producers, and cameramen, and they beat the crap out of each other. When it comes to his title reign, it looks like they're lining him up for The Miz, because The Miz hasn't done jack, and apparently, according to Mark Henry of Busted Open Radio, he wants to see a babyface Miz. I gotta say this: I respect Mark Henry. He's a Hall of Famer. He's done a lot, especially for African American wrestlers. But I highly disagree with him to the fullest. Miz is not a No, Miz is not a babyface. Like, now here's my thing: if he could keep some of his heelish auras, his heelish tendencies,
Like an
but
MJF?
right, exactly. If he could keep that, but still be more of a crowd, be driven by the crowd, I think that kind of babyface role would work. But him being a full-on babyface just doesn't work. They've tried it at least 2 or 3 times in his career, and it's flopped.
Yeah,
It is flopped. Whereas as a heel, he's flourished. But I think if they line him up against Walter, he will be the babyface in that equation because they boo the crap out of Walter, so they're gonna cheer Miz, especially because of the fact that the Miz eviscerated him on the mic on Raw. Y'all, like, I saw that. He got Walter out of here on the mic, and that's one of the great things about the Miz. He's great on the microphone. Like, he is one of the best on the microphone. And I think that if there's a program between Miz and Walter may win inside the ring, but when it comes to promos, he's getting 8.
Yeah, big time. Now, this whole bloodline thing has been that's been my deal. It's probably the best thing going in WWE today. And of course, the man himself, John Cena, comes back and gets himself involved. We're gonna have a match here at Crown Jewel against the Enforcer. What do you think? I got a feeling that John Cena gets a W. Do you think that's possible?
He is going to get a W. They're playing up to the storyline that he hasn't gotten a singles win on TV since 2018 or 2019. They've been playing that up a lot, which means that they're leaning towards he's going to get a victory because I don't think he's retiring yet. And typically tradition in wrestling is when you retire, you go out on your back, meaning you lose. And I don't think this is going to be the last match he's going to have. So I don't think he's losing this one. And it would, nothing again. I feel like They basically made this as a lob ball that Cena could just knock right out the park with the storyline that he hasn't gotten a televised singles win in a few years. So what better time to do it than against someone who seems unstoppable like a Solo Sikoa who is a part of the bloodline? I think it would be a crazy story, and I think that it would garner a huge response from the crowd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with John Cena getting that victory over Solo Sikoa. I think that's the direction they're gonna go. I wouldn't be surprised though if they continue his losing streak and have him lose a Solo. But I think that John Cena wins.
I got that feeling as well. I think it's gonna be a pretty good show. Crown Jewel, I think it's gonna be pretty good this year, and I'm actually looking forward to it this time. Now, AEW is really starting to really ramp up, and it really got hot when our guy Adam Copeland, aka Edge, showed up. And I've asked you this before, off the air, but what does this mean for AEW when a guy like this comes over and is so willing? And his expression in that photo is exactly how he's been. It's almost like he's been rejuvenated a bit. What does this mean for AEW that a guy of his stature would come over and be a part of this?
This is the fourth WWE Hall of Famer that is on AEW's roster, and the third active wrestler that's a WWE Hall of Famer behind Sting and Jeff Jarrett. The amount of knowledge and the amount of experience that Adam Copeland brings to that locker room is immeasurable. Like this dude, and he's one of the nicest guys in the business. And I know that I'm pretty sure that he's had a few of the younger talent come up to him and glean some of the knowledge that he has. And the other thing that is that he said this in an interview, that the reason why he did leave WWE and make the transition to AEW is that he felt he did everything he could in WWE. He won every championship he could there. He was a multi-time world champion, Hall of Famer, tag champ, all that stuff. And he felt he did everything he could there, and there was nothing else to it. And even when he wanted to work full-time with WWE, they wouldn't. They had his contract where he only had a couple matches per year and stuff like that, and that wasn't fulfilling for him. So he wanted to come somewhere where he could show up every week, whether he was wrestling, whether he did a segment, what have you, show up every week and be present. And that's what's going on with him right now. And I think that's what he wanted. He wants to close out his career being much more active and being able to do things. And I think that his little storyline with Christian, I think is going to be a very interesting one, because when Christian came out and when he was asked to team with him and he told him to go F himself, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah,
And,
me too.
And I just thought, like, the look on his face and everything. It's going to be interesting to see if somewhere down the road Christian makes that turn and we get the reuniting of E and C in AEW. That's going to be epic. Imagine E and C together against FTR, against the Young Bucks. I mean, against the Guns. There are so many tag teams that didn't go. I'm telling you, it's gonna. And the great thing about AEW, they're gonna slow burn the hell out of this, and I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it because I'm a fan of slow burn, long term storytelling. I'm not a microwave storyline guy. I hate it because I don't feel satisfied when I get the result too fast. I want them to absolutely ride this thing all the way out as much as they can until they feel it's the right time to pull the trigger and say, boom, it's time.
Yeah. And that's something that WWE has been doing way too much of in years past, just blowing through storylines. And then you're like, people are out of work and you're like, I don't have anything for this guy. Well, you kind of ruined it because you got through the story in 4 weeks. Like there was more meat on the bone and you left it there. I'm really pretty excited about Sting and Ric Flair hanging out with Sting as he closes out his career. I mean, this is gonna be a riot.
I'll tell you what, Tony Khan has caught a lot of flack online because about a week and a half, 2 weeks prior to Ric Flair walking that aisle, styling and profiling, Tony Khan called out Vince McMahon for being a pervert, and yet he signs Ric Flair, who they were going to sign him a year and a half ago, but then that Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring came out, and they said, yeah, we got to back off of this one because Ric Flair got dragged through the coals because of that episode, and they didn't want nothing to do with him. They had to wait for the heat to die down, and then they brought him in. But then the timing of that was absolutely horrible because literally a couple weeks prior to that, TK went and called out Vince for what got him to retire in the first place. And it's just like, TK, I'm going to need you to put your phone down and just stop tweeting for a little while. Just stop. Just don't tweet. If you're going to, only thing you should tweet is advertisements of your shows. That's it. Don't tweet anything else. Just go, hey, we got Dynamite. It's here. It's at this time. It's on TBS. We're doing this. And that's it. Don't tweet nothing else. Just stop. Just stop tweeting. He's about as bad as Donald Trump before they kicked him off the platform.
Yeah.
It's bad.
He does too much, man. He does way too much.
Sif gets on his case all the time on the podcast. Especially when CK goes out and tweets stupid shit, Sif gets on his ass, boy. Like Sif hates it. His social media activity is wild. It's wild.
Now, Swerve has been doing an excellent job. Really started coming into his own here. Does Swerve deserve to hold one of these major titles?
He deserves to be TNT champion at the very minimum. At the very minimum, he deserves to be TNT champion. Ever since he turned heel on Keith Lee and formed the Mogul Embassy, first was the Mogul Affiliates, and now it's the Mogul Embassy, the man has just been absolutely on fire. And one of the things he credited in an interview that his, him rapping has been a benefit to his promo work because it's all basically relative because with rapping, you got to come up with similes and metaphors for your bars. In doing a promo, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same exact thing. It's similes, metaphors, wordplay. And he's, being a rapper, him being a rapper was able to benefit him in doing those promos. That shit he did with being at Hangman's house was some of the best work I've seen. And I said this on the podcast. I said doing home invasion angles, it's hit or miss.
It is.
You can either hit it out the ballpark, or you swing so hard you miss, you spin around, you fall, you hit yourself upside the head with the bat.
Exactly.
There's no middle ground when it comes to home invasion angles in wrestling. It's either you do it absolutely spot on or you fail miserably.
Yeah.
This hit spot on, especially when you have Prince Nana that's like, boss, we gotta go. He's being the nervous, associate, and Sir's just like, he just doesn't give a damn. And it was everything about it was perfect. So if Swerve were to hold a championship in AEW, at minimum TNT champion.
I agree. And before I get you out of here, one more question here. NWA is going to the CW. How big is this for wrestling that NWA will be on a major network?
That's huge. Because they've been doing some really good things since they were revived back in 2018. They've been doing some really good things, and I admittedly I was following it when it hit YouTube, because they used to have their show. It was Power back then on YouTube for free. And it was aired at 7:05 Eastern time. It was streamed live at 7:05 Eastern. And I would sit there watching. But then when they took their show to Fight, because they had to recoup because they were down for about a year because of the pandemic, they took their show to Fight, where you had to pay to watch it. And I stopped watching it. But I still kind of paid attention to what's going on and things like that. But I think this is huge for that fed to be able to be on a network like the CW, because almost every household in America has some form of the CW network.
Yes.
Okay, so that means they're going to hit a lot of homes. The only thing that I hope is that they are able to have a good enough promotional package to be able to get it out there to say, hey, watch us on your local CW affiliate, because we're going to be here at this time and things like that. Because if they don't put the word out in a proper fashion, they're not going to get the traction that they need to get people to watch it on the CW. Like, I'm pretty sure I have the CW. I just don't know what channel it is here in DC.
Right.
Because it used to be CW 50, but it may be CW something else. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm going to tell you like this, the day that they premiere on the CW, I will make sure my DVR is set, and I will be watching it, and it may end up being a part of the podcast. I'm just putting it out there.
That'll work. Champ, tell them where they can follow you at. Tell them where they can find your show as well.
Yes, you can check out the No Spots podcast. We are on Spotify and we are on Amazon Music. We also stream the recording of the podcast live on Twitch, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. We are also on Facebook at facebook.com/No Spots Pod. We are also on Twitter. I have the handle underneath my nameplate there at True No Spots Pod. And you can find us on TikTok at tiktok.com/@ True No Spots Pod, and you can follow my co-host Dan the Dark Lord Sith at True Sith Dan 74 on Twitter and on Twitch. He is very good with promos for the podcast and random thoughts, be it pop culture, wrestling, what have you, and things like that. We usually stream our podcast on Sundays unless it's a pay-per-view weekend, at which point it's either Fridays or Saturdays. We also do live reactions to pay-per-views on our Twitch channel exclusively. DJ's usually a part of the chat and chiming in with stuff. So make sure you check that out. We're always looking for new people to come in and interact with us. It's always a fun time as always. So appreciate you guys listening, and I appreciate my guy DJ for having me on. I've known this man for quite a while, and only until like a couple years ago that I knew he was a wrestling fan. So that's what made us a lot more tight of the fact that we're both fans of football. We're both fans of wrestling. So there you go. Appreciate you as always.
No problem, brother. And I'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. A big shout out to my boy Robbie, who's watching on Twitch right now, man. Big shout out to him. We work with him on Sports on the Hill. It's always a great time. But appreciate y'all having me.
Yes, sir. See you soon, bro.
See you soon.
And that was the champ. And now, without further ado, we have our Washington Commanders super fan. This guy does fantastic work over there on YouTube. You guys need to follow his channel. He will definitely let you know where that is. My guy, Rio Robinson. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, man? It's a new day in Washington for sure. We shook some things up today, not to a lot of people's liking, but I'm actually on the other side when it comes to what Washington was doing yesterday.
Yeah, and we'll jump right into that because initially I was like, whoa, what are we doing? Why are they doing this? It doesn't make sense. I was even talking to, my brother Lake. We were having conversations about this. But I'm telling you, this trade with Montez Sweat and Chase Young, I'll have to ask you first, was it the right move for ownership?
I believe so. From my fan perspective, I've always asked this team to have foresight, to operate with foresight, with vision, and have a plan for the future. And I've also asked for them to do it right, like an owner hire a head of football operations, and for that guy to hire a general manager, and for in combination they hire a head coach, and the head coach hires the staff. That is all what is coming into formation when the season comes to end here, because Ron and company are cooked. They know they're cooked.
Yes.
And these were not Ron decisions. These were new ownership and new analytics guy, and possibly executive being tampered with, who's going to have this job at the end of the season. So I get it. One guy they wanted to do a deal with, Montez Sweat. Another guy they wanted to get out of here and wanted to take whatever they could get for him, because it just did not work out here in Washington. And you hate to lose these guys. They're mainstays. They have name value and name recognition that fans learn to love and buy jerseys for. But in the grand scheme of things, I get it. We did the 4 first rounds on one room, defensive line room thing for years. We were bad with them. We will be fine without them. That's how I feel about it ultimately.
Yeah. At first I was like, wait a minute. Why are they making these trades? Why are they allowing them to do this? And then, I started thinking a little bit. And as me and Lake were talking, I'm like, okay, this has to be coming from ownership. And straight out the gate, Chase is a bit of a prima donna. And on top of that, his nightlife, he loves his nightlife.
I call him Mr. U Street. I called him and Tez the U Street boys, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think when you're talking about a guy like Magic who wants to win, and Magic wasn't about that nonsense if he wasn't winning. And he doesn't, I'm thinking too that they don't appreciate that either. You look at Chase Young, and then I think about James Harden, who Josh Harris sent up out of there and sent them over to LA. I'm thinking, I felt like they could have gotten a 2, but when you start thinking about, okay, the guy's been out for 14 weeks. He's just come back. Now, he has looked good, but there's still a question of whether he can go through a full season without having that injury. I get it. And sometimes you got to take what you can get. And it's better than like we've seen this team do time and time again. We hold on to them. They hold on to them and hold on to them and hold on to them. Oh, we're going to get a contract done. We're going to get a contract done.
No, we don't.
And then you don't, and you get a stupid compensatory pick. Yay. And that second for Sweat
is huge.
Excellent.
Huge. Because it's not just
it's going to be a top pick.
Yeah, because it's not just any second round pick. It's the Chicago Bears are starting a Shepherd quarterback right now. Shout out to Shepherd, by the way. They're a D2 powerhouse. Shout out to Shepherd. They're starting a D2 quarterback, and they're the Bears with a head coach in a lame duck situation similar to our head coach. So that pick is going to be anywhere from 33 to 37. That's where that pick's going to be, which is right smack next to the first round. And they say there's at least 40 first round talents usually in the draft. So
they said this draft is going to be deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought about too. Now, don't let Caleb Williams or Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Shedor's going to come out this year. I think he told him he's going to finish school first.
He needs to go back anyway. He needs one more year when Colorado has a line, and he can build himself up to be a top 5 pick. So
definitely. But I think if Caleb Williams is there, Sam might be a backup.
It depends on, because Sam may do, like, Sam is like, as much as I'm very critical on all players objectively, like my whole thing is
Right.
I don't care who you are on the roster. I'm a fan first of the team, the name on the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey. But Sam has done a lot of good things, and Sam is in like the top 10 in a lot of QB metrics right now. And I can't scoff at that, because the only quarterback I've ever seen in my lifetime do it here was Kirk. Kirk was the only consistent quarterback we've had here. So I'm not going to scoff at what Sam's doing right now.
Right.
We may need to just build the line. And I love the 2 top tackles in this class. I would do whatever it takes to get Olu Fashanu or Joe Alt from Notre Dame and Penn State. I would do anything to get that. And having more ammunition, 2 seconds, 2/3, possibly 3 or 4 picks in the top 50 to 60 of the draft. That is not something you scoff at. We got value. We got ahead of something. I get it. And usually teams, they start to perform a little bit better when you shake up the roster mid-season. So we'll see what turns out this week.
Agreed. Everything about what happened was a breath of fresh air. It seemed, like you said, foresight. And I agree with you with Sam. The way he played, even throughout these losses, the guy's been taking a lot of hits, but he doesn't get rattled when he makes a mistake. The interception, he comes right back and drives down. What they did to kind of shake up the offensive line a little bit, which I still think that I think they need to go and put Lucas to the inside in this particular game here with New England. But what he's done, like you said, we haven't seen since Kirk. And I am a guy that I know a lot of people talk about whether that Sam Howell should be kept or whatever, but I like him, and I think you should build around him because he hasn't really given you any reason not to. And yeah, you can look at some of the not times when he didn't perform, but man, the guy had 40 sacks coming into last week, I believe. He got one.
He's a huge catch-22. He has a lot of Josh Allen-itis, where that he looks great or he looks terrible. And we're going to find out what he is when we know what the in-between is, because it's one or the other. It's drastically one or the other. He's lighting you up for 300 and multi-touchdowns, or it looks bad and the offense can't move, and he looks completely lost, and he's walking into a lot of sacks. He is responsible for a good majority of the sacks that have taken place. The line, they definitely get their share of the blame pie, but Sam, lack of awareness and lack of feel and instincts in the pocket have led to a lot of sacks this year. But I want to see these next 9 weeks matter a lot, because when you bring in a new front office, they're going to do things their way. So they don't have to keep anybody. Well, Sam's under contract for 2 more years with a 5th-round contract. They can easily say, you're going to back up whoever we bring in. But there is definitely something to look for here in this guy, because when he's on, he looks as good as most quarterbacks in the league do.
Agreed.
And when he's off, the combination of him and Eric Bieniemy just look like it's too much for them at times. So we need to find out consistently what that in-between looks like, because that's most of what we're going to see for the most part.
And we're going to get right into that right here. How much time does Ron Rivera and old Jack Del Rio have now?
9 weeks. They got 9 weeks. Like, I know the Raiders got the firings going last night at about 1 a.m. Eastern Standard, where they fired Josh McDaniels and Ziegler. They fired the coach and the GM late night on Halloween. Right? my. They got it going. They couldn't wait anymore. I think Josh Harris and company, the whole world knows what's happening to Ron and company at the end of the season, including Martin Mayhew, Marty Herney, all the front office staff he brought in. That's all leaving on Black Monday, January 8th or January 9th, 2024.
Yeah.
So they have about 9-10 weeks to, finish what they started and put a bow on their era of mid here in Washington, because that's what it's been. It's been a bunch of mid, and that's the worst place you could be in the league.
Absolutely.
You want to be bad or you want to be good, because there's a reward for both of them, and there is not a reward for standing still and being in that gray area called purgatory, which Washington has been in the entire Ron and Jack era. They got 9 weeks left.
Now, here's my philosophy, though. I'm going to throw this at you.
Okay.
So, me personally, I felt like Ron should have been gone 4 weeks ago. And I feel like Jack should have been gone. He shouldn't have even been here at the beginning of the season.
A year or two.
But here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, now they're going to go into New England. If they go now, I think this might provide a little bit of an oomph on the defensive side. There's a lot of guys that are going to play that I really like, especially at the linebacker position. But if they go in there and lose, my thing is you already done sent Chase and Montez out of here. You got a guy in Bieniemy who has won Super Bowls. Let them two jokers walk, because I would hate to think that they would lose the locker room at this point. Let them jokers walk. Promote EB as the head coach interim, and then you can promote one of your linebackers. I think it's you can promote the assistant. Yep.
Steve Russ.
Promote him as your DC, and let's see what as an ownership. I'm thinking, let me see what I have and a guy like Eric Bieniemy and see if he can actually do the job.
I get that. Like, and honestly, I've been over Ron and Del Rio, so I get it. Like, I would have fired them after the Chicago game.
Yes.
I was there that night on Amazon Prime for the whole world to see. With our black uniforms on, the Chicago Bears came into Washington 1-4 and tore us up, put 40 on our head tops on national television for the whole world to see. So that would have been the night that did it for me, in front of a sold out crowd. And 65,000.
I don't get mad as the media. I was pissed. I was pissed that night.
Who signs up to work for that? Like, that's just a terrible product to speak about. The Bears?
Awful.
You let a team
come on, man.
Eberflus. A team coached by Matt Eberflus came and stomped y'all. And then they got right back to looking like the Bears as soon as they left Washington the next week.
I tweeted out that night. I said, y'all, if you want to get right, come on to Washington.
Slump busters,
we got you.
Yep. Slump busters. That's what we do here in DC. But you might as well give EB a quasi audition to be a head coach for the rest of the season. Elevate. If you really want to put some fan recognition and name value on it, elevate Ryan Kerrigan to defensive coordinator. That'll get the fans happy. That's our guy. That's Heartbreak Kerrigan. We love him. Yep. If you really want to elevate him and make EB the interim head coach, we might as well see, because we already know what this team looks like when it's ran by Ron and Jack.
Exactly. And, my thought process is if he can keep the offense going, and again, new ownership, they have a little bit of foresight. They probably already have in mind who their general manager is going to be and all that. They're already, and I'm sure they're not going to choose a coach without that general manager or those in charge to be able to do
better
that.
Be choosing the coach, or if they're not choosing the coach, we're doing Dan Snyder things 2.0.
Exactly.
So the people that are going to be brought in January, they need to be the ones picking the coach in collaboration with the owner, right?
If he does a good job though on the offensive side, is that somebody you think they would retain, being that he does have Super Bowl acumen? He has a resume that is proven and tried, and if the offense continues to improve week to week, I know it's a toss-up, and I understand there's new ownership, and they really ain't tied to anybody, but do you give them a shot?
From a fan's perspective, I can see why fans would want that, and we would feel he at least qualifies for that chance. But also, I've seen a lot of inconsistencies from EB as a play caller, and I think a lot of the sacks and a lot of the struggles and shortcomings of the offense so far have to do with scheme. He needs to find a way to exhibit balance, because it's either we're passing on you or we can't do anything. There is no kind of run design that gets our running backs out in space and that creates, like, there's no balance. It's either Sam throws it 50 times or we look terrible, we look bad. There's nothing we can do about it. He's running for his life in the pocket because we're a one-trick, one-dimensional team. That can be a real problem when you play against the Wink Martindales and what we got coming up Sunday. Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is the ultimate stifler of young quarterbacks. Young quarterbacks go to die versus Bill Belichick because he is going to send every exile. He's going to send blitzes from places young quarterbacks don't know currently exist on a football field. And that scares me about this game, despite the fact that the Patriots are terrible. I believe they have the worst record in the AFC right now, and it's for a reason. That team is bad right now. That team has a lack of talent, but EB has to show me a lot more. He has to show me more than Sam has to show me, because Sam is at least 23 years old and technically a rookie-ish. He's not a rookie. He's a rookie adjacent. So yes. I understand some of the young quarterback things, but EB is 54 years old. EB, this is not his first rodeo. He's been in this league for a long time. He's seen a lot of things. You need to show me why you went on 15 interviews and why you deserve to get one of those jobs if we're going to give you that audition. It sounds good from a fan's perspective, but from the business side of things, the business guys you bring in to run the front office, head of football ops, GM, they're not coming in and thinking about inheriting anything you already got there, because you hired me to create and build this team in my vision. My vision doesn't fall in line necessarily with all that you already put there. So if Sam is really that guy, he better be able to work with whoever we hire as a coach, because third system in 3 years, that's like quarterback hell. But from the business side of things, it don't work. It don't work as easy and as cut and dry or black and white as just let EB cook.
Yeah, I in thinking about it all, we as media, as fans, we've seen this before. We've seen this. Okay, well, this guy has this resume. We're going to keep him and promote him to coach, and then we're going to let him build everything behind that. Yep. And yet we see, like you said, there's inconsistencies. He has Jay Gruden tendencies. You go away, something's working, you go away from it, and you go off into left field.
Cornerish too.
Yes. Yes.
I hate to say it.
But the body of work is the body of work. I mean, they threw the ball 52 times last week.
Yep.
You can't throw the ball 52 times against a Bill Belichick team. And it's going to be cold, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
There.
That wind chill in D.C. today was like a 30-degree wind chill today.
I'm here in South Florida, and it was biting here. So I'm in South Georgia, and it was biting here. So I can only imagine what it was like in D.C.
No, it's definitely going to be cold up in Boston this weekend.
Yes. And when you think of this game, what do you think you're going to see an improvement from the defense, or because of these pieces are gone, will it get worse or status quo?
I want to say we're going to see a lot of the same that we've already seen, but teams usually rally around situations like this. Like when the coach gets fired or where guys get traded or cut and something dramatic happens, teams rally around it. And the Patriots, even though they're at home, they're the perfect team to be playing in this spot because they're playing worse than you. Yes, they did upset the Bills just 2 weeks ago. It did happen, but this is a 2-6 team that looks like a 2-6 team. They're not a good football team. Mac Jones is throwing the ball to a bunch of Geico salesmen in New England right now. They don't have receivers that should really challenge the defense too much. And Mac Jones hasn't played inspiring football last year or this season thus far. And they don't really have a strong run game. Like, it's very subpar. It's kind of like our run game. Like they don't really lean on it at all. This is the team you get right against. Washington, I should scoff. I mean, I should knock on wood when I say this, because the last two struggling teams we played, the Bears and the Giants, both made us look silly when we got on the field with them. So it may be we're the elixir to their problems like we usually are, but I feel like this is a team we should actually get right on. But it's a Bill Belichick coach team, and I'm kind of afraid for Sam Howell just a little bit.
Me too. When you think of it, what do you think the score is, and who you think's winning?
I'll say it's one of those ugly-ish defensive games where if we get the ball last, Sam's going to drive us to win by a field goal. Give me 20-17 Washington. We rally around them, and the new crew of edge rushers, Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams combined for a sack and a half on Sunday, just to say, oh man, maybe we just needed more scheme discipline on that side of the ball.
I think I like that score, and I think it's going to be that tight too. You're talking about Bill Belichick team that's really not. They're nothing that's going to come out and they're going to come out like race horses and try to outrun you offensively. They're going to slug it out. It's going to be a grind, and we've seen this offense be explosive at times. And Terry, he did some as usual, did some dog-like things, especially on that touchdown. I expect him to be a little bit more on edge. He dropped those 2 balls. He feels like he should have had those. That could have been the difference in the game. It's going to be a lot of redemption, but I think it's going to be close. 3-point ball game. I'm going to go same with you, same score. It's just going to be a slugfest, and it's just going to come down to who has the ball last and who makes the bigger play on defense.
It might be a Brian Robinson day. It might be a give him 24 carries kind of day. Does he got it in his bag?
He does. He does. And I think another addition, another little tweak to that offensive line, because they played quite well and they were allowing and opening up run lanes. EB just didn't want to do that, but they were opening up run lanes. And if they can tweak just one position, like I said, put Lucas at guard, and I think we're going to see Brian Robinson hit the hole the way that he should be, because I think he's not doing that because he doesn't trust his offensive line.
Yep. And another thing EB did that made the Philly game work, getting the screen game, the quick game, getting it going. But what I do caution, though, EB, do not fall in love with it, because the screens got redundant at some point, especially running screens out of bunch formation. When you have the receivers bunched up, it doesn't allow the receivers to have the separation to set up blocks to create running lanes for the receiver who's getting the screen. When you run a screen after running 5 screens in the last 8 plays on 3rd and 5, they know the screen is coming. So running it out of bunch, they're stopping it as soon as the guy gets his hands on the ball. Don't fall in love and don't get redundant with it, man. Get in your bag, dig deep in your duffel, and show us what's in your arsenal, Eric Bieniemy, because you have a big opportunity these next 9 weeks.
Amen. Now, tell everybody, man, where they can follow you at. Like I said, one of the best. He comes highly, highly recommended from my big brother, Lake Lewis. Guy knows his stuff. Tell them where they can find you at.
Shout out to my guy, Lake, man. Love that dude, man. He's been like a big brother and a mentor to me as well. At Rio Robinson, at Rio_Robinson91, Twitter and Instagram. I'm stirring the pot. I'm objective and I'm spicy with it. We like to talk. We keep it raw, unfiltered, objective, and for the fans. Always for the fans. That's what I am. Not in the media, but it's very media adjacent, the fan content creator community that we have, especially here in Washington, where there's a lot of guys doing things like this. Catch me on my YouTube channel, Rio Robinson on YouTube. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the season. I'm at 8,300 right now. Got about 1,700 more to go. And if you see me at FedEx Field or around any team events, just come holler at me.
Yes, sir. And I'm with Lake. There's a room for fans, and the guys who do it are very knowledgeable. There are a lot of podcasts out there, and they're very knowledgeable. They do a very good job. I catch a lot of them as well. And there's a place for you guys in that media room. Like I said, what you do, man, spot on. And again, this is why I brought you on, because we talk all the time, and as media, we see things a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. And I want the fans to be able to hear from another fan how they feel about how the team is playing. And that's why I believe there's plenty of space for us to be able to intermingle, and you will be back on this show, my friend.
Let's do it, man. Anytime, brother.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. I will be talking to you soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man.
You too. Man, great conversation. about the Washington Commanders, and I really hope that they can turn it around. I mean, just for the team itself, there's a lot going on, and we just hope they can. Yeah. So, on YouTube, you can go and subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we are going live. It is at the NotBland Show, all one, at the NotBland Show. Go to our Facebook page, the NotBland Show. Follow it. We update with different things involving the NFL. I love doing my, 7 things, or I'll put some things out that happened history-wise during NFL weekends. Didn't get a chance to do that this weekend because just so busy trying to put this show together. For the people behind the scenes with this show, thank you so much. Without you, this is not possible. And my guys do a great job of making me look good. Thank you, the viewer, for watching this show. Again, without you, there's nothing. Nothing. Family is in the building. I appreciate that. Love it when my family watches and supports me. But yeah, we're nothing without you guys. So thank you. Again, I'm Dujane Bland. This is sport. This is the NotBland Show, powered by SportsJourney.com. We're out of here.